Once upon a time, in a cozy little house with a bright yellow door, lived a little boy named Leo. Leo had a big imagination and an even bigger heart. His room was filled with colorful drawings of smiling suns, fluffy clouds, and friendly animals. But at night, when the moon cast long, wiggly shadows on his wall, Leo's big imagination sometimes played tricks on him. He would pull his favorite star-patterned blanket right up to his nose and listen to the creaks and groans of the old house. "It's just the house settling," his mom would say, but Leo wasn't so sure. He thought maybe, just maybe, there were ghosts in his house. Not the friendly kind he saw in cartoons, but spooky, scary ones. One evening, as a gentle rain tapped against his window pane, Leo heard a new sound. It wasn't a creak or a groan. It was a soft, whispery rustle, like tissue paper being crinkled. It seemed to come from the corner of his room, right near his big wooden toy box. Leo's heart did a little pitter-patter dance against his ribs. He peeked over his blanket, his eyes wide. He couldn't see anything, but he could feel something. A little puff of cool air tickled his cheek. He squeezed his eyes shut tight. "Go away, spooky ghost," he whispered into his pillow. But the rustling sound didn't go away. In fact, it got a tiny bit closer. Then he heard a very, very soft giggle. It sounded like tiny bells tinkling. It wasn't a scary giggle at all. It was a happy, playful sound. Leo slowly opened one eye, then the other. Floating near his toy box was a shimmering, wobbly shape, about the size of his teddy bear. It glowed with a soft, pale blue light, like a firefly on a summer night. It didn't have a scary face. In fact, it didn't really have a face at all, just two sparkling dots that looked like curious eyes. The little shape wobbled and jiggled, then did a little loop-the-loop in the air. Leo let out a small gasp, but it wasn't a gasp of fear. It was a gasp of wonder. The little glowing shape drifted closer to his bed. It didn't make any noise now except for a gentle, calming hum. Leo sat up, his star blanket still wrapped around him like a cape. "Hello," he whispered, his voice barely a squeak. The shimmering shape bobbed up and down, as if it were nodding. Then, it floated over to his bookshelf and gently nudged a book with its sparkly side. It was Leo's favorite book about a brave little knight. The book tipped over and opened to a page with a picture of the knight sharing his lunch with a dragon. The little shape then floated back to the middle of the room and shimmered brightly. Leo understood. It wasn't trying to scare him. It wanted to play. A smile spread across his face. "Are you a ghost?" he asked. The little shape wiggled happily. Leo decided this wasn't a ghost at all. This was a shimmer. "I'll call you Sparkle," Leo decided. Sparkle did another joyful loop-the-loop. Leo pointed to his toy box. "Do you want to see my toys?" Sparkle zipped over to the toy box and peeked inside, its blue light making all the colorful blocks and cars glow. All night, Leo and Sparkle played. They didn't make a sound. Sparkle would lift Leo's toy airplane and make it soar silently around the room. Leo would build tall towers with his blocks, and Sparkle would gently nudge the top block into place with perfect balance. They discovered another shimmer hiding in the hallway. This one was a soft, rosy pink and hummed a different, slightly lower tune. They named her Glimmer. Glimmer was very shy, but she loved looking at the family photos on the wall. She would hover in front of a picture of Leo's grandma and glow with a warm, happy light. Leo realized these weren't scary spirits. They were friendly, quiet little beings who were just as curious about him as he was about them. They were like secret, sparkly roommates. They didn't want to frighten anyone. They just wanted to be part of the quiet, nighttime world of the house. Another night, Leo heard a tapping sound coming from the attic. At first, he felt that old, familiar flicker of fear. But then he remembered Sparkle and Glimmer. He tiptoed out of his room and crept up the attic stairs. Peeking through the door, he saw a new shimmer. This one was a gentle, mossy green, and it was tapping on an old, forgotten music box on a dusty shelf. Leo quietly walked over and opened the music box. A sweet, tinkling melody filled the air. The green shimmer, whom he named Moss, spun around in delight, its light pulsing in time with the music. It turned out Moss loved music, but couldn't open the box on its own. From then on, Leo's nights were never scary. They were filled with silent adventures. He learned that the creaks and groans of the house were just the shimmers moving about. The whispery rustle was Sparkle looking through his books. The cool puff of air was Glimmer floating by. The tapping was Moss hoping someone would play some music. They were the guardians of the house's happy memories. They loved the smell of cookies baking, the sound of laughter from the living room, and the warmth of the fireplace. They were spirits, yes, but they were the spirit of the home itself. Leo never told anyone about his secret friends. It was his special secret. Sometimes, when he was drawing, he would add little shimmery shapes floating around the smiling suns and fluffy clouds. And every night, before he drifted off to sleep, he would whisper to the quiet darkness, "Good night, Sparkle. Good night, Glimmer. Good night, Moss." And in the corner of his room, a soft blue light would pulse gently, like a silent, friendly wave, "Good night." The house was still full of sounds at night, but now to Leo, they were the comforting sounds of friends. He would snuggle deep into his star-patterned blanket, a happy smile on his face, and drift into sweet, peaceful dreams, knowing he was never, ever alone. And so, in the cozy little house with the yellow door, the boy with the big imagination slept soundly, watched over by the friendliest, most wonderful spirits a boy could ever wish for.